Hello you guys, welcome back to Vlogmas day 3. Today I have my final update before the finale for my Pan That Palette of 2023. I have been working on the ABH Sultry palette, and what I have learned through this project is that I never want to do a project focused on one palette for a full year ever again. I do think I'll do pan those palettes next year, and I'm thinking I'm going to choose 4 eyeshadow palettes to work on throughout the year, kind of seasonally, and just try and hit pan on as many pans within those palettes as I can. Maybe older palettes in my collection that I really like, but like we're getting to that point where like we should say goodbye soon. I'm thinking of like Dose of Colors Friendcation, ABH Jackie, things like that. I'm extremely bored. I'm so like unmotivated to reach for this. I'm so uninspired. I also love to test new eyeshadow, and I've really enjoyed doing No Pan Left Behind this year on my channel and really getting to know my palette collection in like a different light. So all those factors have kind of played into like is my feeling when I pull this palette out. But I did reach for this an additional 18 times. We do have some expansion in some pans, so I'm excited to share my progress with you. If you're interested, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project planning content, palette themed content, or just chit-chatting about makeup, I'd love if you would consider subscribing before moving on. I will be posting every single day throughout the month of December at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I hope you'll consider subscribing. And other than that, let's jump into the video. All right, you guys, as mentioned in the introduction, I did reach for this an additional 18 times. So I'm currently at 192 uses. I was at 174 going into this past month. And I will say, leading into starting this project this year, this was my most reached for palette in my collection. And I had likely already reached for this palette over 100 times within its lifetime with me. So we are inching close to probably like 300, maybe 350 uses total for this palette. So I'll post on the screen a picture of what this palette looked like at the introduction so you can see how we were starting, and then in the middle I will post a picture of what this palette looked like last month, and then at the bottom of the screen I will post a picture of what the palette is looking like now, and hopefully you will see some expansion on some of the pans. I feel like there's nothing like too exciting. We don't have a new pan. I still have yet to hit pan on the shade Steampunk. There is a large expansion in the shade Nior, and I feel like Cinder and Twig. I'm excited to see what that looks like. But overall, I just have not felt excited about this palette probably since like April of this year. I will say I only reached for Nior twice, and the shade is getting quite crumbly. So I do feel like this palette is like really starting to kind of show its age and just not perform quite as well as it used to. I also feel like some of the shimmers, maybe they've never been as punchy as I thought in my head, or maybe I'm just super into like metallics and indie shadows now, or maybe it's just getting old and I feel like the metallic shades aren't as punchy, don't wear on the eyes as well as they used to. But like I said, overall I'm just like kind of over the palette. No matter where we're at with this palette, I will be saying goodbye to it at the end of the year on January 1st. All right, so let's go shade for shade. I will walk you through each of the shades, how many times I reached for each shade, and if I have any goals for this last month of the year. So up first we have the shade Fresh. This has been an empty for a while, 69 uses in the project to hit pan. Then we have Pearl next to it, also an empty, 50 uses to hit or to finish off that shade. Then we have Steampunk, which still doesn't have a pan. I would really love to hit a pan on this before the end of the year, so that is going to be the goal no matter how many uses that takes. I only reached for this one time since the last update, so I'm at 16 total uses on this shade so far in this project. I just don't love a gold, especially like a mid-toned gold like this. It's just not something I'm excited to reach for. Next to that, we have Rose Quartz. I've reached for Rose Quartz an additional 2 times, putting me at 36 total uses in this project. Rose Quartz was, and probably still is, one of my favorite shades in the palette, but I just, again, I like something a little bit punchier on the eyes, and even the metallics in this palette just have not been something I'm excited to reach for. So 36 uses. It'd be nice maybe if I could use this 4 times in the next month to get up to 40 total uses. But I'm happy with the size of this pan. Ultimately, I know I've gotten so much use out of this palette, so I really am ready to retire it. And I also learned that I'm never going to be the Pan That Paletter that cares to use every single shade to absolute completion. It's just, I couldn't think of anything that would be more boring for me and the way that I like to do my makeup. I like to do something different every single day. Okay, next to rose quartz, we have the shade Ember. I only reached for Ember one time. We're at 31 total uses in the shade Ember. Then we have Bloom right next to that. I've reached for Bloom. I didn't reach for it all since the last update. I've reached for it 22 total times in this project. I did end up depotting this as a blush, but it's more of a sunburnt sort of blush, and I just don't care really at all to reach for that, especially this time of year. I've definitely been more into a nude or a coral blush this year. Too bad I didn't depot this last year when I was really into sunburnt blushes, but only 22 uses. I don't foresee myself really using this shade anymore, but I will keep that blush for next year and see if I can get some more use out of that. Then we have Birch next to that. I reached for Birch 89 total times in this project to complete that shade. That was an actual complete shade, so super exciting there. Next we have the shade Cinder, and I'm really excited to see the expansion here. Cinder I reached for an additional 5 times, putting me at 28 total uses. I actually reached for Cinder quite a bit just as a one shadow and done sort of look. And I feel like there's been significant expansion there. I don't think I'll complete this by any means. I'd like to reach for an additional at least 2 times to put me at 30 total uses in this project. But that is what Cinder is looking like. And then next to that, we have the shade Twig, which I reached for 4 total times. I always feel like I reach for Twig more than I actually do, but 4 times for a total of only 32 uses in this project, which I feel like I've reached for this so many more times. I will be excited to see the expansion here as well. I was hoping to hit side pan on the bottom of this shade before this update, but that just did not happen. My goal for this shade before the end of the year is to just hit side pan at the bottom. I feel like we're so close. That is definitely a doable goal. Then we have Teak next to that, which I only reached for 1 time, putting me at 39 total uses in this palette. I would like to reach for Teak a couple more times, like 1 at least to reach 40 uses, but I feel really good about the size of the pan in Teak. Again, I've gotten a ton of use out of it in its lifetime. The shade Dystopian, I've reached for 7 total times. I always use it to fill in my hairline, and I've reached for it 72 total times in this project. I feel like we're finally seeing some expansion in Dystopian. You know, if I could reach for it 3 more times to put me at 75 more use, or 75 total uses in this project, that would feel really good. But this is like the driest dark brown shade I've ever used, and it's just not good anymore. So that's where we're at with Dystopian. Next to that, we have the shade Cyborg, which I did reach for 4 total times, so we're at 27 total uses in Cyborg. I expected the pan to be a little bit more expanded, but whatever, it is what it is. I like Cyborg, but it's not what I'm really looking for every day for a shimmer shade, so not a lot of use there. Last month or 2 months ago, I depotted the shade Slate, which is just a gray. I don't love a gray, and I wasn't reaching for it, so I just depotted that. I only reached for Slate 7 times within this project, and then Newer I reached for an additional 2 times, putting me at 20 total uses. Again, it's getting quite crumbly, so I have a huge pan up in the corner, but it's because the shade is crumbled out, not because I actually like hit pan or like organically. Does that really make sense? I'm not sure. But that is where we're at with the Sultry palette. Wow, it's loud out there. Yeah, I'm so excited to be done with this palette, but I will put forth valiant effort. I need to reach this 8 more times this month to hit 200 uses this year, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna hit pan in the shade Steampunk, and then I would like to use a couple of the shades just a few times to get to like either 40, 50, or 75 uses. So that's the update, you guys. This is probably the video I was least excited to film for Vlogmas, just because, and I think that says a lot too. Like, I'm just like not even excited to really update on the Pan That palette because I don't feel excited to reach for this, and I don't feel like my progress is like that great. So we'll be doing something different for eyeshadow projects next year. I'm gonna do No Pan Left Behind, and like I said, I think I'll do Pan Those palettes because there's a couple older palettes in my collection I'd really like to focus on and then kind of move out of my collection at the end of next year. But yeah, that is gonna wrap it up for today's video. Would love to know if you guys have anything you'd like to see from me in terms of palette projects next year. Let a girl know in the comments below. Other than that, if you have Vlogmas content you'd like to see, I still have a couple spots, a couple days open to film whatever videos you guys would like to see. So let me know what you're interested in seeing in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Bye.